When I moved onto the edge of Greystone Estates, I didn't expect to ruffle feathers, literally or figuratively. I inherited the land from my grandfather, who'd carved a legacy out of these acres long before the HOA was even formed. Sure, the neighborhood had grown around us, but my property remained zoned agricultural, and I had every right to continue using it as such. That's why I didn't blink when I brought in a dozen heritage breed chickens, a trio of dwarf goats, and two belted Galloway calves. These weren't just barnyard pets. They were part of a USDA pilot program focusing on sustainable microfarming, resilience to climate shifts, and community food systems. In fact, my land was one of only 10 sites selected nationwide for the Sustainable Livestock Integration for Urban Edge Communities initiative. The animals had GPS tags, biometric monitoring, and routine data collection coordinated with a federal database. I even had a USDA field officer visit monthly for inspections and data pulls. But then, there was Karen DeLuca, head of the HOA board and self-appointed neighborhood watch captain, had always made her disapproval known. She'd scowl at my goats chewing cud peacefully under a tree. She'd file noise complaints when the rooster crowed at dawn. And when she saw the livestock trailer pulling in new hay, she snapped photos from behind her fence like she was gathering intel for a courtroom drama. One Saturday morning, a formal letter arrived in my mailbox. Stamped with the HOA insignia and Karen's signature, it demanded I remove all livestock from the premises within 14 days, citing neighborhood aesthetics, noise concerns, and unauthorized agricultural activity. I chuckled as I read it. Then I handed it over to Agent Myers, my USDA liaison, who just happened to be at my kitchen table inputting goat feed metrics into his laptop. He read it, raised an eyebrow, and said, "You mind if I handle this?" 4 days later, the HOA received a certified packet from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, complete with a cease and desist order regarding interference with a federally funded agricultural research site. Enclosed was a copy of the program charter, a land use classification report, and legal verification that my animals were not only permitted, they were required for the project's continuity. Karen was furious. She showed up at my property line, flanked by two board members, arms crossed and wearing the kind of pressed blouse only people who never step foot on a farm wear. "You didn't disclose this was federal land," she snapped. I calmly replied, "It's not federal land. It's private land, just participating in a federal program. Big difference." "This is a residential community," she protested. My USDA contact stepped forward. "Ma'am, this property has been agriculturally zoned since before your HOA existed. Under federal agricultural protections and local grandfathering clauses, any attempt to restrict the program here is legally void." That shut them up real quick, but it got better. At the next community meeting, Agent Myers gave a public presentation, projector and all, explaining the pilot program and how it actually benefited the local area. He cited community sustainability efforts, emergency food reserve planning, and even potential educational outreach for local schools. Some residents applauded. Karen stormed out. Weeks later, the HOA quietly updated their covenants, removing language that would allow board members to dictate animal presence on grandfathered agricultural lots. And as for Karen, she resigned from her position 2 months later, citing conflicts of interest with emerging policies. Today, my goats still munch their hay in peace. My chickens strut through the yard with the confidence of federally protected assets. And the calves? Well, they're growing fast, and so is the data that may help future farmers across the country. Funny how a few farm animals and a federal badge can change everything.